Hello everyone, welcome to Ball Street and the Social Club for a brand new series. The 2016-17 season is nearing the end and we've decided we're going to work our magic to pick the team of the season using a very similar format to our Premier League Greatest 11. We're going to start this week with the goalkeepers. We'll have to decide a formation at some point. I'll worry about that in due course. So the lads are here. We're going to talk through first what we think. Because if you look at the Premier League goalkeepers, this is different, obviously a completely different kettle of fish to picking the greatest when you can go through guys and you've got history and you can say, these guys won X over this amount of time. Because in a very simple sense, Ped, what you could do is you could just say, David De Gea.
You could, couldn't you?
You could, because he is probably, I think pound for pound, he probably is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League.
He's got shit hair though.
But he has good hair. But the point is that, has he been in the best one? Has he had his best season for
you know
United,
what? I think this could be one of the hardest positions. I don't think there's a massive standout goalkeeper this year. I mean, there's a massive shit goalkeeper. His name's Bravo, plays for Man City. But I don't think there's been one goal who's really stood out this season that has, made massive saves that have pushed their team forward. I think there's been a bit of a level playing field this year.
I think there's a couple of examples. I'm sure we'll come to them along the way. But I think the obvious shouts are, I think you've got to throw Courtois and Lloris in there straight off the bat, simply because these are the two best teams in the league with two of the best defences, and the goalkeepers.
That's it. It's the best defences. It's not the best goalkeepers. If you're going to do that, you just throw De Gea in and say he's the best in the world. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously I'm a bit biased, but I do still think he's up there. I'm not saying the other two boys are bad goalkeepers, but it's the same kind of principle. You're going by how talented they are as opposed to how good they've been over the course of the season.
But okay, well, as a Man United fan, are you going to put David De Gea forward as the best goalkeeper in the league
this season? No, not for the league this season, no. I think Kasper Schmeichel is.
Okay. Kasper Schmeichel's a shout.
I think Kasper Schmeichel.
Don't think Ped doesn't agree?
Not a fucking chance on earth.
Why?
Nah, no chance.
Why not? Tell me why not.
Because he's not me.
Why?
I don't think.
Well, no, not because
I think we're forgetting the first half of the season when they were fucking abysmal.
But was he
still making
abysmal
great saves? He's still making great saves.
I think that Lloris,
Frank,
I'll take that. Lloris gets overlooked quite a lot, and I think for what he brings to that he's brought to that Tottenham team this season, and how regularly he's performed, and the fact that, like you're saying, it's defence. They've conceded the least goals in the season so far. I think if you're looking at the statistics as well, it's pretty normal, it's pretty consistent. I personally think he gets overlooked by the likes of De Gea, and people will go and say Courtois because he's had the most clean sheets, but we've conceded a goal, not had a clean sheet for 10 games.
Yeah, I think there's a real point, and I get what you're kind of saying, Lynn, but you can't. I think they go hand in hand. I think good defence and good goalkeeper. You have to have a perfect marriage there if you want to succeed. Look at Leicester last season. You wouldn't have said on paper that defence or goalkeeper was a title winner one, but the perfect combination of how their defence, how they defended, and how the goalkeeper played with them. Not too many injury problems.
You're talking about individual performances across the.
So yours is Schmeichel.
Yeah, I'd take Kasper Schmeichel. Yeah.
Do we think just to unify this, because I think this is the problem we're faced with, is as what I'm driving at is you could pick Courtois and Lloris, and I've done because but you could, because you could make a case because they're the top two goalkeepers and the top two teams in the league, but there are different requirements of goalkeepers at the top end of the league to the bottom end of the league. So are there unifying factors as a goalkeeper that's true of any level as a good goalkeeper? What do we think? At the top? It
has to be percentage shots stopped or penalty saved or something along those lines. It's the individual accolades as opposed to goals conceded. You might have a shit defence, but having a shit defence, you concede 100 goals, but you might have saved 300 goals from going in besides that. So the stats can be manipulated whatever way you feel fit. Yeah. So it depends on individual accolades for the particular goalkeeper.
Well, if you're going to go off that, I drew up some stats earlier.
Maybe he's done the prep on this, by the way.
Lucas Fabianski actually made 41% of the saves that were at the, saved 41% of what could have been goals of shots on target.
What's Tom Heaton's?
Tom Heaton was...
Where's your ruler?
24.
24%?
24%.
And 50% that was at Old Trafford?
Tom Heaton's mine.
Yeah, to be honest,
I think Tom Heaton is a
Tom
great
Heaton's a good
show.
show. We've had a few people tweet in as well, which you can always get involved with the show, of course, at Ball Street on Twitter. Matthias UK says Heaton, David Martin 24 David says Tom Heaton or Lloris, simply because they've shown how important it is to be a keeper who controls the team, not just the outfield players. David Noonan 241, Tom Heaton has won his side more points than any other keeper, therefore he gets another. I'm not sure if that's a stat, but it sounds like one. Sometimes that's the most important thing. Smarky Bastard says Tom Heaton. Jad Labo Legend says Heaton all day of the week. Very underrated and excellent without the greatest defence in the league. And then you've got obviously shouts there, Led, Nee, King. Hard to see anyone but Lloris, although Courtois, Schmeichel, Pickford and Heaton. What about Pickford actually?
Pickford's would be my young goalkeeper of the year. I think his emergence has been fantastic. The fact that, you know, I think Sunderland bought a goalkeeper quite early on as well, didn't you, when Moyes came in and did you haven't had to use him? Well, they have because he got injured. But Pickford had a bit of a shaky game in his first game in Southampton, and since then has been absolutely fantastic. And I think he's going to be a hot property in the summer.
He is, but the thing about it is he hasn't really a full season at it, has he?
No, he hasn't. But you can see that already. He's got all the natural attributes to be a top goalkeeper.
Height.
I don't think height is.
In this day and age,
I think agility is the big thing now as a goalkeeper. I think the way the ball moves and how fast the game's played, I think agility is the most important thing. I mean,
in the Premiership, to be a goalkeeper as well, it's physical presence too. It's not like that across Europe. If you look at even we'll go back to David De Gea, like his first 3 or 4 games. Remember his first game of the season against West Brom when he got bullied just because he didn't have the physical attributes that you'd associate with a Premiership goalkeeper, and it took him about, I'd say, probably 3 or 4 months to really get down to the physicality of the game, and he's going to get knocked the shit out of by centre forwards coming in and challenging. Yeah. But now he's moved on since then.
Can I just throw one in as a name?
Absolutely.
It's not mine.
It's not Joe Robles.
No, it's not Joe Robles. I think Joe Robles is a decent keeper. He's not a brilliant keeper, he's a decent keeper. I think one name that sort of, I think, has re-emerged this year is Ben Foster.
Yeah.
I think he's had a good season, and I think a lot of people have said he's maybe England's best goalkeeper. I don't naturally agree with that, but I think what he's, you get players, don't you, who emerge and they look great, and then they suddenly drop. But I think his experience has started to come out a lot this season, and I think he's had a really consistent season. And as a goalkeeper, that's all you really want to do is be consistent.
Well, consistency is exactly, if I've got it written here, what makes a good keeper at any level: consistency and shot stopping. But consistency is the thing, and 33 games he's played this season, which is joint top. Well, yeah. Well, no, but this is the point. People ask of goalkeepers, people say distribution and being able to play that with your feet and all that. And look, in the modern game, this is why wingers are now fullbacks. You need more talented footballers across the team. Your goalkeeper needs to have a certain degree of that. Yeah. But as I say, there's Ben Foster and Lucas Fabianski, have played the 2 most games of goalkeepers in the Premier League, 33 times at time of recording. Of course, I would never say he's up there. He's right up there, but there is a degree of that. And West Brom, again, what we talked about, good defence, well organised with the goalkeeper.
But I think it's really important, though, because I know people will be watching, it's really important to separate who is the best keeper and who is the keeper of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it would be very easy to just say Courtois, Lloris and David De Gea, they are brilliant goalkeepers. But those other, the reason for me why Heaton is because Burnley would have been tipped to go straight back down, and he is one of the reasons. He has been so good, captain, a leader, and to a position now where they are quite comfortable and they'll stay up that
second most at the time second most saves made by most saves made, 127 saves.
But you look at the difference. I think Pickford's next, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Now Sunderland are completely on their arse. Yeah. So it's a case of he's made. So look where Burnley are for those saves, and look where Sunderland are.
But those stats can lie though, because if you've got a shit defence, you're obviously going to concede more shots. Yeah. So you're going to have a better shot percentage.
And equally, Liam, you're right in that there is no measure for what type of shots are being taken against you. Yeah. There's a massive difference. You could have 200 P-rollers put against you, and you could have 200 put right in the top bin. It's a very difficult thing, and I think you're right. I think this is why a lot of this is done on the eyeball test. It's a lot what you feel, what your goalkeeper makes you feel, and what have you, and you can see what they've done. And I would agree that. Whereas, again, at time of recording, Thibaut Courtois and Hugo Lloris joint top in terms of clean sheets. I think that's good, solid standard. I think they're performing well for what they want to perform. But I agree on the Heaton shots. One that I will throw in, and we talk about similar to the Ben Foster thing. we had a big chat about this on Red Men, is about goalkeepers, about the age of goalkeepers, and sometimes you've got to ride it out from them going through that early patch. In your early teens and early 20s as a goalkeeper, there's a reason why, you know, you're either the best of a generation or top clubs don't have goalkeepers until they're in their absolute prime, because you make mistakes and it's very hard to maintain your confidence. Long-winded way of saying it, but Simon Mignolet, you know, he started the season as Liverpool's goalkeeper, but only because Karius got injured in pre-season. He had a really good start to the season, saves a penalty on the opening day against Arsenal, wins Liverpool the 3 points as a result. He then gets bombed out of the team when he's not been playing badly, wins his place back when Karius is crap, and since then he's probably one game he's probably played bad in, and that was Hull. Other than that, I reckon he's probably won us 9 points with his saves and penalty saves alone. So for me anyway, I'm going to throw Mignolet into the mix because but here's the point.
Horror.
No. But here's the point. I have been staunchly against Mignolet
as every other Liverpool fan has been.
To be fair,
but he's been great this season.
Mignolet. I'm going to go back to my stat list again.
Sure.
39% he saved shots on goal, which is decent.
Well, that's been Mignolet's biggest criticism in recent years. People talk about his distribution, and his distribution's not top class.
He doesn't save shots.
No, true. But there's a myth about Mignolet that he makes all these great saves, and he's had 2 seasons where he doesn't save, he doesn't win your games by stopping. Someone goes 1-on-1 and the ball's in the back of the net, and he starts.
Has been like that recently, actually. In fairness,
against West Brom.
That says a lot though for having a decent number 2 who pushes the number 1. Yeah. I know there's been this culture of almost having a number 2 who's fucking the youth team goalie or just some our fella. But there is something to be said about having a young up and coming keeper to push. You know,
that's one thing. One question that I asked a few years ago, I think it was my brother, said, why do all professional football clubs have one set goalkeeper and that's it, and the number 2 is just automatically associated as number 2? Like, you have 3 players who for every other position. Why have you only got one for a goalkeeper? For example, Joe Hart might be able to, I'm just taking Joe Hart as an example, might be a better shot stopper than Bravo was with his feet or whatever. So, for example, if you're playing against, let's say West Ham, and you know that the ball's going to be in the air for 90% of the game, you want someone in there who's going to be better on crosses than someone who's better on their feet.
That's something you would Alex Ferguson dabbled with, didn't he, with Lingard and De Gea? He would take De Gea out of the games because he knew that when they were playing big physical teams in his first year, if crosses come in, De Gea wouldn't be able to handle it. And he basically took him out of the spotlight not to damage his confidence. But I think a big reason why that happens is because back fours like to be confident.
Behind the same goalkeeper?
Having the same goalkeeper. And if you're chopping and changing, then suddenly it's basic things like knowing what foot to give the back pass. And I'm not saying footballers are stupid and stuff, but if you're in the heat of a game and then you've had
surely you're training with those guys every day.
No. But I'll give you a great example of this. Goalkeeper, of all the positions on the pitch, goalkeepers come to their prime and they stay at their prime a lot longer and a lot later than most of the players, and that's simply because of, look at goalkeepers in the mid-30s can still be the best in the world. Look at Buffon. You know, the fact of the matter is you've got to play a lot of games, and your experience in that position counts more than almost any other position on the pitch, where almost you can lose a little bit, you can lose your agility, you can lose your jumping ability.
It's a different sport practically, isn't it?
You know exactly. What I mean? It's like, and having those things behind you, and that's why I think goalkeepers need those games, because there are so many things about goalkeeping that it's dark art. It's the percentage of a football that they're not as quantifiable, but the things that you pick up along the way. But
I never got those managers to play keepers in the cup competitions, and no matter where they get to in the cup, they play the same keeper, even though he's second choice. Like, what's the point? Is it just to give him game time?
Well, it depends.
I think the purpose.
I disagree. That's where I disagree. I think that's where we go. That's why what Ped's saying about having a competitive 1 and 2, because that's what's happened with Liverpool. Mignolet was playing in the cups.
But it's not competitive.
But nobody proved him. He proved that his head hadn't gone in the cups, so he was holding his own. And even then, like Karius then got relegated to that. Played really well in the cups, so you know if your goalkeeper gets injured or he drops a bollock, you've built your guys' confidence up by playing.
But the other way looking at that though is, I mean, obviously we've got Robles, and I say he's a quite solid keeper. He makes rash mistakes like most Premier League goalkeepers. But when he was coming in, and it was very evident that he would be going straight out the team because Tim Howard was the number 1, then you put him in and he was fucking atrocious. But as soon as that that door got slightly edged open and Tim Howard was on the wane, Joel's game just suddenly went up massively. He suddenly had a sniff at the first team and knew that he had to be ready where he was coming in for cup games, and he was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he got a sniff, he was Premier League ready. And so I suppose it can work both ways.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all wonderful.
Digress a little bit there.
But getting back to it, so Ped, you're going for Tom Heaton.
Heaton.
Liam, who you throwing
Kasper
for?
Schmeichel.
You're throwing for Kasper Schmeichel. Louis?
I'm going to put forward Hugo Lloris, but I'd like to have a special mention for Fabianski.
Wow. Okay. Now, there's one more player that I think deserves a mention, and no one will naturally put him forward, and it's not been mentioned in any of the Twitter. Lee Grant at Stoke.
He's all
I
right,
was
yeah.
going to say that,
Like, he came in almost as like an emergency backup signing, you know, and everyone expected him to be. He wasn't even first choice at Derby, was he?
No, I think he was there.
And he's come in, and again, he's not like world class, but I think he's had a very good season, and he's handled.
No disrespect
when
to
we
Stoke, but
signed
no one really
Jack
pays
Butland-
attention to Stoke, do they?
When we sign Jack Butland, he'll be all right. He can stay number one.
Exactly. So I'm obviously putting Simon Mignolet forward.
I feel like I haven't explained why I wanted to put Fabianski forward.
I don't.
No one
you're
really
not
cares,
really
mate.
putting
No one cares.
Fabianski
Okay.
forward.
No, but it's just why I think
Okay,
it should
go
be
on.
considered. I think, you were saying about a keeper where you had the attributes of their presence, they made saves when it mattered, and obviously I've already mentioned the percentage. I just think Fabianski, he saved what could have been a lot more goals for Swansea, which has been a very poor Swansea team, and he has conceded a lot of goals, but he's saved so many goals from him. He's made excellent reflex saves when he had to. Okay. He's definitely someone I think you look at him, you're saying they're down the bottom of the table.
I would be very interested to know if the Swansea fans watching actually, because my understanding of Fabianski is that it's like whenever he comes up against Arsenal, he falls to bits, doesn't he? Because whether they've got the hoodoo over him and he tried too hard to prove, but I wouldn't personally have him in from my knowledge of him as a goalkeeper. But maybe again, Swansea fans watch more of him. We don't get to watch these guys week in, week out.
Fabianski, funny enough, Fabianski came up to Liverpool to Neville Southall was doing a Q&A in town, and Fabianski said it was his absolute hero. It was for his book, and so he came up and he just sat and paid like everyone else and just sat there. A few people like, isn't he a Premier League goalkeeper? Just sat with, and it was funny because Southall actually said something about not about him in general, but he said, those goalkeepers, why is it those goalkeepers who look so poor playing for top teams, they go to teams who are relegation fodder or whatever and suddenly look amazing?
Yeah.
And he said, it's that one thing that, it's the concentration factor, and that's the difference. Yeah. When they stand there for 20 minutes without a shot, they're all at sea. Yeah. If you keep them busy all game, then suddenly look like the best goalie in the world.
Okay, so question then. So you're going for Lloris?
I'll say Lloris for me, yeah.
Mignolet, Kasper Schmeichel, Tom Heaton. We've got one more slot left in the vote. Now, does that fall to Ben Foster, Thibaut Courtois, or David De Gea? What do?
I'm going to defend Thibaut Courtois here, obviously, because he's mine.
I can't give it to Courtois. He got injured playing basketball.
Stop playing basketball, mate.
For an advert or something for the NBA.
Yeah, that's
a true story, isn't it?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Any strong opinions on it?
I haven't. You know what? I actually, and I'm not trying to dodge it. I don't think any of those big keepers have had like really standout seasons.
I don't think De Gea has. I think Foster has had it. Okay. He's come back from the brink a little bit, Foster, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's come back for a series. Yeah. Okay, are we happy to throw Foster in as the fifth shout then?
Throw him in.
Okay.
Under the distinction that people who shout at people on comments understand it's team of the year, not the best goalkeeper.
Absolutely. Yeah, so please do let us know your thoughts and your pick.
I just want to reiterate that.
Again.
Right. Anyway, yes, right, okay. Leave us your vote for goalkeeper of the season. Which goalkeeper do you think has performed the best this season and this season only? You can vote by clicking the card in the corner of the screen. If you want to use some more time and space to explain your decision, do that in the comments below. Subscribe to the Ball Street channel by clicking the logo right there. And if you want to watch more content on a Friday, check back here next week for the next position, or you can go back and watch the greatest Premier League 11. See how we constructed that by watching the full series right there.